Just so everybody knows, if you didn't know already, that we're going to be recording in progress. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Business and Community Promotions Board to order at 2:01. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do a roll call. I know that Lindsay is out sick. She said she was gonna try to join via Zoom. But she didn't believe, wasn't sure her ability to participate. I see Katie up on the board, so Katie's here, and then I got Jeannie here, I've got Tara here, I've got Lana here, I have Steve here, and I have Andy here. All right. So I do need a motion to approve the agenda.
Also move.
Okay, Lana and Steve second. Okay, and then did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from the February 18th meeting? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for the February 18th meeting?
So move.
Lana, and then a second?
I just have the protocol there.
All right, yeah.
That works.
All right, perfect. Do we have anybody here that would like to make public comment? We don't have anybody pre-signed up for public comment. Do we have anybody needing to make public comment? Okay, we're gonna move on. Any conflicts of interest to report? Awesome. So my director's report this month is really focusing on a couple of key things. We've made some really great progress on the branding, the website progress. I'm hoping to have a presentation to the branding committee to kind of give an initial overview. We only were quoted for one round of revisions with Nate. So I've been doing a lot of that stuff offline, and he's not charging us for any official revisions. Once we present it to the branding committee and we do any revisions after this kind of high level where we are right now, that will count as our one vision. So we do want to just be kind of aware of that going into that. My guess is that we should be able to have that meeting with the branding committee within the next week, this week or next week. I have the high level summary of all of the brand strategy, which is done. I'm just waiting for the high level picture of all of the, what the graphics and the visual actually look like. And then I'll be able to present both those things. With both of those things finalized, I have kicked off the website meeting. We've met with all of the little independent contractor team that we put together to start building out the framework of the website. Mainly using Visit Palisade, their website structure as the main kind of template for what we'll be doing. It will look similar to that page structure wise. It will obviously look very different based off on our brand strategy. However, it will have kind of the same tabs that we have on that as well. When we have our next branding website committee meeting, I'll have a website map for everybody to look at that will say, these are the tabs we're thinking, this is how many pages we're thinking, to kind of get that process started. But really what I've spent a lot of time doing over the last month is really diving deep into our marketing strategy. I don't think we're ready. I want us to hold back a little bit, pull back just a little bit, wait to spend any money, any major money, till we have a full plan in place. And also I think it's really, we're in line with some of the other major kickoffs that are happening. We're just not ready to start spending advertising dollars. While I understand the businesses are definitely hungry for us to spend some money towards advertising dollars, I think it doesn't serve us to spend advertising dollars when we don't have a complete package put together yet and it's not all ready to go. So I spent a lot of time talking to Thrive, our PR company, about the best strategy moving forward. And their suggestion is that, and I agree, April through August, we focus on getting the website up and running, getting our social media up and going, get some of those basic, like foundational events calendars. This is what a meeting, event looks like, kind of our structured assets in place. Also getting assets and content developed. We don't have any currently that we own as a city. We have some assets from the city, but we don't have a ton of assets on that regard. So wanting to make sure we get all of that put together. We have been offered a free marketing segment through Great Day Colorado, which is a Fox 31 offer. They're willing to give us that for free. Timing that around the launch of our website, I think would be a great time for that, so that we could do that and launch a small soft talk about our summer events calendar. Nothing too big to not upset council.
And question.
Yep.
So as far as the website, Ember's doing that and the marketing is Thrive. And then there's also activation by individual companies. Is there gonna be a cohesiveness amongst the three? Like, is Ember coming in to do some of the marketing too?
Yes, so well, what Ember is doing is giving us a brand strategy and then essentially guidelines for all of our creative assets. So Ember's not gonna be doing any building of our website or any of that stuff. We're gonna be contracting that out to Kent Slaymaker and to Ross Breyer. They're going to be working together to build that structure using the guidelines that Nate has given us, if once approved. Then from there, everything content creation wise will run through that brand. So it will all look the same. And then if we get approved for our wayfinding grant, that will also then move us into the stage where the wayfinding will run from VCamp all the way through. So everybody's components will look similar. But we're not there yet. We're waiting to hear back on that grant, which we should hear soonish. So I did a pretty heavy-handed revise to when you guys had asked me to finalize the collaborative marketing plan, which I would like to adopt today, if possible, if you all are comfortable with where we are at on it. It does move the budget out pretty substantially, as well as kind of has us focusing on the end part of the year, fall, and November, December, where most of our marketing dollars would be spent. Giving us a small marketing budget, mainly around social media and some SEO optimization consultations. One thing that we were able to do is by continuing to offer, or by essentially making agreements to work with certain advertisers towards the end of the year. Comcast is specifically wanting to offer a marketing exclusive option just to our businesses in Idaho Springs. This is an opportunity that none of our businesses would be able to even access if not for us and our hard work for this. So this would be an opportunity for our businesses to start marketing now for them. This includes free production. We are offering a different, in the marketing plan, I offered you kind of what we thought would be the best package rates that Comcast is offering, 3 different levels that are all pretty approachable in size, depending on the size of your business. The ad is then owned by the business, so you can then use it for whatever you would like to use it for. We could also use it in our advertisements as well. They would like to do this exclusive marketing offer on April 11th to kick it off before spring, so that anybody that wants to do these Comcast specials can get this going as soon as possible. If there are people that are looking for something, the Comcast representative can create these ads with as little as 24-hour turnaround, and then get them on the air within a couple of days. So really awesome opportunity. So if we do approve this plan, that will then include me being able to start advertising this marketing offer and getting people the information so they can come to this event on April 11th to get that. And no cost to us. The only thing that is costing us anything is covering the cost of some food for the Bojos thing, which they're giving to us at their normal, nothing, right? Bojos is like, we want to charge you for food, but they're gonna host us there. So that would be a pretty awesome opportunity. Does anybody have any questions on that specifically?
What's the cost for the employer, for the business?
Yeah, so we have 3 costs. Lowest cost level is $250. This includes a free ad, a customized ad just for you, 50 cable spots for you to use in your target market. You get to choose your target market range, and they'll help you narrow that. It's essentially $5 a commercial. And they play both in streaming platforms as well as, on Comcast's TV cable as well. So it's a couple of different that would be able to be offered. And then to tier up, same thing, a $500 level, that would be 100 spots. And then the $1,000 level, that would be 200 spots. At that $1,000 level, I'm suggesting that the BCPU board also offers a highlight on the new website for that $1,000 rate, giving them an extra little bonus. If you're gonna spend 1,000, we'll put you up towards the top in the business highlight section. Also suggest that maybe we do some social media highlights around their ad. We could then use their ad to do a co-sponsored post with them. That would then benefit us because we're co-sponsoring a post with the business that brings followers to our page and then enhances everybody's reach.
And any business in Idaho Springs?
Any business in Idaho Springs can use this, nonprofit or not, doesn't matter. Cool.
So then
Oh, sorry, Sadie, or this is really for Annie. This is Lindsay, and I apologize. I'm home with COVID. I'm having a hard time hearing. It sounds pretty muffled. So I'm doing my best to hear everyone, but just FYI, I don't know if the microphone is working.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Oh, see.
Can't do that. We have definitely been having serious technical issues. I'm gonna try one thing. I'm gonna maybe.
Does this?
That won't work. I'm sorry. This is definitely, apparently something broke. So,
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I can still hear it. It just sounds kind of muffled. So, but yeah, no, I just wanted to put that on your radar. Sorry.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's been a thing today.
So, Idaho Springs or the business community motion board or somebody's doing an ad already. And then is there an option for that, or do we join in on that? Are you promoting Idaho Springs in any of these packages?
No, these packages are business specific. So this is an offering that a business can be, so that you would purchase this 1,000 and all 200 of those spots would be Tommyknockers spots. The reason that we have access to this pricing, so something like this traditionally would cost like triple the price. The reason we're getting access to this pricing is because of the commitment that we'll be working with them in the fall.
Is in the budget for Idaho Springs?
Yeah, in the fall budget, you'll see here, we're budgeting $11,425 for September, October.
For the contract, yes.
That's not just for Comcast. They're a part of that budget. But we haven't signed any agreements or anything. This is them offering this to entice us in more than anything else.
Sure.
This has a lot to do, of course, through, having that access to Thrive. This is his buying power that is essentially giving us this open door to these really low level pricing deals that we wouldn't have access to
You've
otherwise.
done them, then they come back with a really good another deal, but it's twice as expensive. It's really good. They keep upping it and then you're like, oh, you pull a plug at some
And you're
point.
hooked.
Yeah, well, our hope is that my agreement was that we could offer this price structure to Idaho Springs businesses at the same rate twice a year. And she thought that she could stick to that. So this is something that I hope that we'll be able to continue offering this low rate package at a twice year rate. Hopefully they'll continue to be generous with their word and stick to their word. But again, nothing is signed or contracted. So of course they could come back and say it's more. However, right now they have agreed to this and being able to offer the same prices.
Well, I'm not saying they're trying to kind of trick you, but they keep offering you
Oh,
more
yeah.
for more. So you're like, we can give you twice as many exposures for twice as much money. Well, that's a really good deal, but at
Yeah.
some point you have to stop.
Well, and this to note that $5 per commercial, you could buy it up to as many commercial spots as you wanted. So if you wanted to spend more than $1,000, of course, they're not going to tell you no. But as Steve says, that's what they're here to do, is continue to have more paid advertising. What's nice is that the free production is there, so there's no production cost associated with this. And so I think with businesses especially, that's the hindering price point, is the cost of production.
And is there any examples of the production that we look at?
Yep, absolutely. At the meeting on the 11th, she'll come with examples of their production, an explanation of how they're able to offer that and what technology assets that they're leveraging. It's definitely a lot of AI, I'm sure.
Would they be able to provide exposure info to me?
Yep, 100%. It comes with a dashboard, analytics on your reach and what kind of return you're getting on your investment as well.
When they say like 200 spots, 100 spots, like what does that work for like a timeline? Is that like over a month?
You get to
like-
set that. So you get to
Okay.
set your time periods. Think of it like a Facebook ad. You get to
Okay.
say, this is how long I want the campaign to go for. This is my budget. And then it will spread it out based off of that. It's
Okay.
similar to that kind of a concept, is that they're gonna look at your schedule and they're gonna say, okay, you wanna run this for a month and you only wanna buy 50 spots. This is how we're gonna spread you out throughout the month. And you get to work with an account
And you choose your
representative.
target demographics based upon, like, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And they aren't gonna help us too much on who your personal business target demographic is.
Right.
However, they will help guide that decision for you, being like, okay, do you wanna be in the metro area? Are you trying to be up the mountain? Like what, so they'll guide you a little bit, but they're not really gonna be like helping you dive deep into your business
You kind of need
target.
to know who your target is when you go into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, my goal would be that we should be able to offer this twice a year to our businesses. So this could be our first of the year offer, and if it goes well, we could then hopefully towards the end of the year offer this again before the holiday season. So that's kind of what that package looks like. Any additional questions around that guy before I move on?
How long would this contract be? Would it just be for this season, basically?
What,
Like agreement?
with Comcast, we're not signing any contracts or agreements with them whatsoever. So this is just an offer that they're giving our businesses on good faith. So this rate they've agreed to offer on April 11th.
These
These
are like
rates,
the businesses enter into a contract with Comcast.
correct. This
Yeah.
is a this is an offering to the businesses. The board has no skin in the game. If no businesses of Idaho Springs sign up on April 11th, they understand that that's a position that might happen. I don't think it will happen, but
I think it's really exciting.
yeah, I think it's a good offer. I don't think any business here would be able to. So what I would like to do is obviously through my emails, I'll announce it. But if we approve the marketing plan, I'll also do some flyers and do some direct talking to people, make sure everybody knows to come. We'll have two time slots that day available for them to come, like one earlier in the morning and one later in the afternoon. So hopefully being able to reach everybody. We're still trying to finalize the SEO and SEM workshop that I'd still like to be able to offer that. And we could send your staff to it. You could send whoever's working on your marketing, your website to it. We're still working on finalizing that. My goal is to have some more information on that for April, that we could launch that in April. But we're still finalizing the best way to do that and how much it might cost, or if it's free, or all of that. We've been meeting with the Clear Creek County Tourism Collaboration Group is what I'm calling it now. It's Cass from Clear Creek County Tourism, myself, and Jess from Georgetown. The three of us are meeting pretty regularly, kind of talk about what's happening, where we can collab. We've been talking to the mayors and commissioners about tourism demographics. County is sounding like they might want to be putting some effort or money towards some targeted marketing. We're trying to help them understand that both Idaho Springs and Georgetown are already doing that, so would be better suited for us to all align our projects and work together than have the county doing something different than what we're doing. So that's still a work in progress. So events planning and activations, Steve and I attended a fun educational meeting. It was great. We learned that when any two of you all get together, if there's more than two of you, and we happen to be talking about this stuff, it's considered an official meeting and has to be noticed. Which means that because this is a city-run board, that means that anytime if I meet with any more than two of you at the same time, we have to give 24 hours notice of the meeting. So the events committee already broke that rule, on accident, so sorry, I didn't know. You know, when you're used to running nonprofit boards and then you switch to running a city board, there's some changes there. So what I would like to do is just make a request of the board that maybe we adopt an operating rule that no more than 2 board members are present on a committee. That way we don't have to notice every time we're trying to have a meeting.
So what's involved in noticing 24 hours?
I have to get something to Wonder, and Wonder has to post it out on the city board and on the city website. So it has to be posted on the city website that we're having a meeting, where we're having it, and what we're talking about. It has to have some kind of formal agenda to it. That's the other part, is like a lot of these things, we just wanna like have a quick brief update on how we're planning Curling Fest. I don't want to have to notice an agenda every time we're gonna do that. So my suggestion would be to break it down into specific planning committees, an East End events planning committee. That way Katie can participate in that. We can schedule that around that stuff. Spring and downtown, Steve, having you as a part of that. 4th of July, fall downtown, and winter downtown. And then of course, broad events, I'll just make sure I'm reporting back to you guys how that all works. But that way that people can choose to participate in whatever ones throughout the committee, the community that want to be a part of those events, they can just attend that one meeting instead of having to try to attend every one, or me having to notice. Any questions, thoughts on that?
Only thing I might add there, the intent of the law is to make sure that, when you're talking about, you know, public use of public funds and things that affect the public, that the public can be a part of those decisions and be aware of them. So, but what I want to say is that it doesn't mean that you can't all attend an event together. You just need to refrain from conducting business,
Yeah.
talking business, making decisions, giving direction,
Right.
things like that.
So
So
y'all go to a gala and have a good time.
exactly. So nothing wrong with that. But if you all were to get over in a corner at the gala and start saying, you know what, we're gonna choose to do this and that, that's what it's trying to prevent. And that's an extreme, but I'm just trying to give you an example, because sometimes that's a concern to, you know, elected officials and appointed officials, and, hey, what can I do? You know, you know, I live in the community, but so you just have to be on guard. Oh, it starts getting into, we're starting to talk business here as a group, that you say, well, wait, let's wait till our next meeting.
That makes sense to everybody.
But a non-board member can be part of it.
100%, yeah, all of our committees are open to everybody, so any member of the community can be a part of our, just like a part of our meetings, always a part of our committees as well.
And then if we feel like that's not necessarily working, we can still announce one, right?
Absolutely, if we need to have one where every
Okay.
board member is, then we're gonna be like, hey, this is an event specific one. Wonder generally wants more than 24 hours. To be fair, she's got a heavy workload, and so it is nice to give her as much notice as possible, that so she can notice meetings, and not spend her day with 24 hours notice. So I try to give her as much notice as I possibly can, but it's a minimum of 24 hours notice required for that. Same thing for if we were to have, like, need to have a spur of the moment meeting to finalize something that was time sensitive, we would have to do a 24 hours notice for those meetings. Okay. Minor street activation, I know we have some people, especially businesses, have been asking me a lot. We have unanswered questions still on that. I did get that pushed. So I'll be talking to council on March 24th, so next Monday, about really some key things around activation area requirements and standards. What needs a permit? What doesn't need a permit? What are the standards for a design area? Vendors, non-competitive vendors on minor, same kind of guidance as I get every year. I just need clear direction from council on that, so that then we can get on the same page and give our clear direction to the business owner community. Steve and I re-kicked off the mural restoration project, that we have a new lead artist on that project. That seems to be going really well. He's providing weekly updates, and they're already significantly improved from the previous. It seems like that's on track to get moving again, so we'll have more information about that soon. Okay, so per the board's direction, I did go to city council and talk about parking. And city council was great. They were very receptive. The mayor did an excellent job facilitating the conversation around that. We want to maintain the revenue stream of parking because we know that it's going to be important moving forward for funding our projects, most likely. So we wanted to be very clear about that. Council was comfortable with our suggestion. We couldn't offer a free 30-minute parking anymore because it does, number one, increase our violations pretty significantly. It also does mess a little bit with our revenue stream. So what we came up with interstate parking was 50 cents for 30 minutes. So that will be nice for marketing standpoints. We can say things like parking in Idaho Springs starts at 50 cents, which is a really great inviting thing for the community. We then also got the approval from council to break it down into hourly rates. So instead of offering only a 2-hour rate, we broke it down into a first hour, second hour, and a third hour rate with the option for the $5 discounted rate to be available. So if they want to buy 2 hours at the $5 rate, they absolutely can do that. However, if they want to just buy an hour, they can do that as well. So it kind of opened that up. That one you put that on Friday. So
Part of the conversation is, we have tried free 30-minute and it's been tried other places and it doesn't work.
No.
And you can say why, and then the reason for 50 cents is because it motivates them to sign up for their supposedly free. And this gets them on so they can increase their parking when they're dining if they realize, oh, this is taking more than half an hour, rather than get a ticket.
And if I may.
Yeah, of course.
Just for a minute, I want to put things in perspective because it has everything to do with you and your success. We brought in about $4.6 million in sales tax last year. We were planning on $580,000 in parking revenue. I just want to put it in perspective. What you do is so much more vital than the parking revenue. Because there are a few people, unfortunately, it's very misguided to think the city is all about the parking revenue. When you are many, many times the parking revenue. So I'm saying as a city, we're your biggest cheerleaders. We hope you just knock it out of the park, right? And if those sales tax figures ever became 5.6 million, right? I mean, would be celebrating. So the 580,000 is great. And I think if we keep revenue up at a respectable level, we'll have a very viable plan B if we don't get the raise grant. We'll still be able to bond. Also, as Steve pointed out, and this is pretty critical, some things we had tried in the past, but perhaps you weren't there for the discussions. But in years past, yes, we had tried 30-minute free. And it is an absolute debacle with people overstaying. And I think the 50 cent will work much better. Also, just in case you're curious, we used to have hourly rates where you could come and stay for an hour. The problem was, and this is why it was actually, Jonathan Kane did some research on this. The reason why we did a 2-hour minimum was to really, more than anything, was to protect our smaller businesses. Because what we were afraid would happen, people beating the clock, maybe go into one of our larger businesses who shall remain nameless. And they have a burger and they want to get the heck out of town. What the 2-hour rate did was it encouraged people to linger, go explore, maybe go in a shop they hadn't been in. And it was immediately successful because we saw the number of visits stayed very stable, but we had immediate shot in the arm with sales tax. Because if you can keep your audience captive for a longer period of time, frankly, there's a much greater likelihood that they will spend additional money. So I just wanted you to know if we do an hour, and that option, it starts, you start to see some sales, slip a little bit. This could very well be why, and why the 2 hour minimum was very, very successful. Also, I want to apologize. Usually I'm not so informal as to wear a sweater, but I was desperate for something green. So it was either this or I was gonna hit Rose up for some green nail polish. But, also, I wanted to mention that I realize our marketing efforts are really in their infancy. But I have to believe they're already paying some dividends, and I'll tell you why. You heard me crying last month about I-70 traffic through the mountain corridor. It was down almost 12%. It's like 11.85%. It's huge. You would have expected a corresponding decrease in our business. And then we got the numbers last week from Margaret Bowes, who's, until recently, head of the I-70 coalition. I couldn't believe it. I-70 traffic is down 17%.
Yeah, I included it. It's the next thing
Oh, thank
that
you.
I'm talking
Thank
about
you.
in your report.
So,
is you beautifully uncolored graph.
And if I may give a pat on the back, because miraculously, the cities, we are still up 2.5%. I don't know how we're doing it with traffic decreases to that level, but anyways.
That's not the bike park, because they're closed.
Well, it has been, and we are 2 months in arrears, but we're beyond bike park times.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm just saying, even though we're in its infancy, I believe there's been some right moves made.
Hey,
Yeah,
Chad,
and
I have, oh, sorry. I have
No,
a
you're-
couple comments. One thought with sales tax, which I'm so happy it's up. And I know my business saw we were up in January, we're down in February. We'll see what happens in March. But I think a lot of businesses have raised their prices accordingly with distributors increasing their prices. You know, you've seen menu prices go up. So that may be part of that increase. One question I had on parking is, are we still going to offer a spot on every block that is a 15-minute, that's maybe not even associated with the paid parking at all, for like Frothy Cup, for places where people just want to run in, get their coffee, get their breakfast wrap, and then head on their way?
Yeah, that's not changing at all. We're not reducing those loading zone and that 15-minute pickup parking per block. That's still, those are still in place. And also that 30-minute at 50 cents, we can be any parking space.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So
Yeah,
that,
sorry, my side note about the sales tax, that was just a thought, because I know, a lot of us have had to up our prices on things, unfortunately, and hopefully we start seeing distributors taking things back down again.
wonderful. Thanks, Lindsay. So again, another thing that council, and again, that 2 hour discount, is still available. I think from a marketing standpoint, when we're asking our customers to spend money the second that they pull into Idaho Springs in general, when there's that 50 cents as an offering, that's gonna soften them in general. I do find that most people will still end up opting into the 2 hours at $5 because it's a discount. They're gonna see it discounted, they're gonna see it there as, oh, if I stay for 2 hours and I buy it per hour, I'm gonna have to spend more than $5. But if you're only asking them to spend 50 cents up front, I think it's gonna help them from a mindset perspective, not feel as activated as it was asking for $5 immediately. We are gonna be keeping a very close eye on this. Interstate has a new interactive dashboard that Guy and I have previewed, that they're gonna allow us to be using to kind of keep real time on our average turn time, which right now is 2.5 hours. So right now we're at 2.5 hours. That's on average how long someone stays in the downtown district. So we'll be able to keep an eye on if that's dipping or changing at all. Again, these rates went into effect on Friday. Interstate has also agreed kindly to go business by business again and hand out new parking rate signs, as well as this is designed for our employees and residents. We're looking at figuring out a way to maybe do a direct mailer information as well, potentially. But this is reminding everybody that Idaho Springs residents and Clear Creek residents park for free. All it is required is a registration, and all employers have access to an employee parking portal to allow their employees to park for free. For some reason, we're still this many years in, and still somehow people claim that as a resident, you have to pay to park. It's not true. Next thing that council supported, which I'm really grateful for, is we're going to switch to warning enforcement on minor streets. I think there's been a lot of concern about the tickets that have been given out. When you stand on Minor and you park in the middle of the block, the parking signs are on each side, they're small, you're looking at big historic buildings, you're not paying attention. Minor, there is a lot of tickets given on Minor, and we, as a business community, agreed that that's leaving a bad taste in people's mouth. So council has agreed to switch to, warning enforcement on Minor. Now, if there's someone being a bad actor and is obviously breaking the rules consistently, that's a different situation. However, they will be switching to minor street warnings only, and then reducing enforcement by 40% in the back lots. Not being so heavy-handed in the enforcements in the back lots by just focusing on education and awareness over ticketing every single person. Also, focusing on making sure that people are parking in the right areas. So education around that as well. So those two things. Now, these will only stay in effect until May 1st, when we will most likely have a new parking contract in place. I would imagine that the parking rates will probably rotate over unless we go to council and are like, hey, actually, we changed our mind. Let's find something different. But Andy and the mayor have assured me that I'll be a part of that process to make sure that I'm educating everybody and everybody knows what the new parking rate and platform will be as of May 1st. They're just in the process of getting the bids and reviewing and getting us down to the final companies, and then we'll have a new parking management contract as of May 1st. So this was a pretty nice thing for council to do. While we're gonna be changing everything as of May 1st, and they accepted us doing a change in between, that's a really good thing that they're like, okay, we wanna make sure. They were really wanting to make sure that we felt heard and that, you know, Steve was there. They wanted to make sure that we were comfortable from the business owner perspective, that what's important to them is our success. As Mayor said,
They were so willing, they actually adopted it on the spot.
on the spot, yeah, I didn't have to go and have an additional, they adopted it on the spot, and we were able to be pretty strategic and get it done really quickly. Again, those are great things about having the relationships we do with the current company, because them being willing to change it and then go to every business was very supportive to us as well. Traffic is down on I-70.
Before you go,
Yeah.
two questions. Is there a chance that Interstate would be selected to win that bid?
Yeah, they have submitted to be considered, so,
I don't wanna
yeah.
lose it.
Oh, I'm sure. And then can people pay cash?
We have
Coins?
one coin kiosk still available.
I have a question. I know that we all love, but was there any information about potentially rolling back the fine even to like 48? Just the psychology, I think, really has like hits people and like.
They are open to that with the
Drama or whatever.
new, they are open to that with the new parking contract.
Okay.
We could revise the fine right now, but I think what the thought was, let's just wait, see what this does with the reduction of enforcement and those kind of things. We're actually one of the lower parking ticket rates in all of the parking systems in Colorado. We're one of the lower parking tickets that there is.
For some reason, it's that 50.
I know that
People were, like,
$50
so
thing.
attached to
$49.99.
$49.99.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are open to that consideration with the new parking contract. The mayor has also said that making sure that how that revenue is shared is set up in a more equitable fashion, so that there isn't kind of any incentive to be parking and to be just giving parking tickets for the sake of parking tickets. And again, I will continue, and I want to make sure the businesses know that if you guys come across a resident, a visitor, community member who has experienced problems with a parking ticket, like, please bring that information to me or give them my information. We have a pathway to resolve those. And while emailing info at parking is a good way to do it, they do get thousands of emails a day. So if we want to make sure that something is, pushed through quickly, like I can get that to the right channel, to the right person, and get that resolved. We're also working with the new parking contract to have something that businesses can hand out in the moment, real time, that says, hey, I'm sorry you had a bad experience with parking. Here's something to take care of your fine, those kind of situations. So those are things that we wanted to kind of push off until the new contract, because again, asking a parking company that again is a business, we have to remember they're a locally owned and operated business, and we're asking them to put a bunch of things into something when they don't have a guarantee of a future contract. They're doing a lot of this work on good faith and being good partners. However, I think from city council's perspective, they don't want to ask them to overreach when we're in this process of looking for parking contract revisions.
I wonder if it'd be worthwhile for all the businesses that do social media to do a little post.
I think,
You've got everybody's list and you could do something and say, if you could just post this paragraph to all your.
yeah, I love that idea. I mean, at least give them the option. If you want to do it, I could create a
Yeah.
little asset
Yeah,
that
just say,
says,
Cause
this,
Argo will do it. We'll-
Yeah. like a parking update.
Yeah.
I am gonna do.
Good news, 50 cents.
Yeah, parking starts at 50 cents. Yeah, come check us out right now. Also, I think important to say, come before 10, come after 6, and it's free parking. Also, you'll miss the rock blasting. Anyway, okay, any other questions on parking?
I'm not trying to be humorous. I would like to add, I had a complaint from someone who was very angry with me. I did call them back, wasn't able to get a hold of them. But it was that our parking is discriminatory against low income. And I had to ask, have you ever been to Denver or Boulder or some of the other places, right? Anyways, I'm afraid this individual didn't know, and I'm only bringing it up because Sadie brought it up. There are free parking options within pretty close proximity, and my favorite advice, if they were an out of towner, would be catty corner from the fire department. You're real close, just a few blocks. But anyway, so yes, we have parking from 50 cents, but I just want to add, that some people forget, we also have free option. You may walk a few blocks, but it's not bad.
And how long is that gonna last? We don't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people are
I
asking.
have to push the.
A lot of people are asking when I'm talking to the community and business owners about this, is the large voice of feedback that we need a consistent paid parking program throughout all of town, that downtown would prefer, especially on the other side of B Camp. That is a decision council has pushed off till the revision of the parking contract.
And I agree, we still may have some free parking options down by Hot Wheels. Just for example, and I'm sorry, thank you for letting me put in my 2 cents on it.
On that note, it's not in my director's report, but B Camp is probably going to open as of April 1st. We're working through some situations. We'll definitely be having incremental closures due to construction. We're waiting to finalize all of those platforms to make sure, but we'll be communicating in constant communication with the Argo team and Comba and myself to make sure we get all the latest and greatest information. Dylan and I are trying to figure out a way to get text message alerts to people. So right now we're kind of on hold, whether or not it will be April 1st or not. We're gonna wait for some additional information from Argo before that decision is finalized, but that is the direction we're
We
heading.
can't have people on the trails while we're flying towers and concrete and stuff into the park.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, it's about, yeah, helicopters with big heavy things seems like a good reason not to have a bunch of bicyclists underneath that. So we do have, the last thing on my list before we move on our agenda is the community conversations update. We have our first one scheduled April 10th, the East End meeting at the Yards. The chief of police is gonna give an update on the new camera system that we're gonna be looking at per his instructions by city council. We hope to have an update on V Camp and Argo cable car construction at that time, at least to kind of formalize, this is where you go to get information, this is kind of where we are in the process. And then a marketing update from us. I'm hoping that I can have some initial mock-ups and looks of what we're gonna visit Idaho Springs is gonna look like. The downtown meeting, rec has requested, well, it was kind of a co-request that a lot of people are asking about updates about the skate park. And I'm getting a lot of questions about updates of the skate park, updates about construction at the ball field. A lot of things about like, oh, it's not happening, and none of those things are true. So Cam and I thought it would be really good, and Jen as well, to give an update to the community. So that was the meeting that we chose. So that's the 17th of April. However, we do have a question. Lana brought something up to my attention about our location. So Club Hotel Annex is totally willing to continue to do this, but they cannot serve alcohol. They can have snacks available, but there will be no alcohol. Now, Steve and I both know that sometimes the only reason we get people to these things is that there is an opportunity for there to be alcohol. Usually the sponsoring venue gives one free drink for participation in the meeting. And it is definitely one of the main ways that we get people to show up.
I think it's worth really thinking about.
I agree, Lana brought it up, it's part of the problem in that way. Hopefully we'll have a future solution for that. However, I basically said it's outside of my decision-making, so. Or,
Events permit for the night.
Yeah, is that a
but it's too late,
It's too late.
that's a month, it's a month away, I would have to get, I mean.
Well, it's 4 days, 35 days away.
Yeah. I meant.
Could be a gray area we're sampling. We're paying.
What
for
about
it.
just moving it and doing the next one at the club and have it? I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not on the board.
Yeah, what was there a lead in, was that a lead into another concept?
So I don't have another, we could stick to the same locations for both the meetings and say we're still doing yards and Tommy Knockers. I'm sure Tommy Knockers wouldn't mind if the date is open. Or we could switch it to Bojo's. They're another space that has a large enough room. They don't have AV at Bojo's though. So that kind of puts us in a situation where really like location wise to have AV, we really have two choices. We could go to Elks if they would be willing. Sometimes they're willing, sometimes they're not, depends on what's happening. And then our second option is Tommy Offers when it comes to AV.
And I should just say, we thought we had a solution and then we found out it wasn't a solution.
Yes.
So,
So your feelings wouldn't be hurt, Lana.
no,
I'm being serious.
No, yeah. No, I mean, we would be disappointed, but it's like I said, we had a solution. We were given bad information. So, not about us, about
I
somebody
think
else
else
coming in and
consistency would just
serving.
keep it at common knockers.
I mean, it's really up to the board and what you guys want to do. I will state from experience when hosting these meetings to make sure there's an incentive to get people there is important.
I recommend we go to Tommy. It worked last time and, that's, it's coming up pretty quick and I think we can certainly look at moving around. In the future, we have a little more time.
Yeah, I mean, in the future, if we want to pull a special events permit for these meetings, we can. I just need to make sure I have the notice
Sure.
to do it. I'm not comfortable on that application
That's
yet.
good with the board. After that.
Jane, yeah. Sarah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I approve it. Switch.
Make sure it's.
I'm
available.
fine with it.
Okay, thank you.
And thanks for letting us know that it changed and not doing it.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think we'll do that. So Steve will get back with me and I'll, make an announcement quickly. What I am gonna do is start advertising about the April 10th meeting, just so people know about it with the advertisement that we'll be having a downtown one the following week, on the 17th.
Maybe a couple things.
Yeah.
One is I would recommend that we keep the agenda roughly the same for both meetings.
Mhm.
I noticed that we just have the skate park at the downtown meeting, but I think, of course, the skate park is down at the ball fields, or will be down at the ball fields, and I think that trying generally to keep the same agenda, same information would be good. I
Yeah.
agree.
I
So,
mean, if you guys can attend both, I'd be happy to like give a broad spectrum, but I would love you guys to present at both.
And Scott'll be there, you can say something.
Yeah, it's great.
Just another little thing on the new camp closures, we've asked the Comba guys and everybody else not to post pictures of our excavations in progress. We don't want people to get freaked out about these holes we're digging in the mountain, or, you know, OSHA or somebody come up and say, no, we don't know about this. Anyhow, it just, we're trying to be discreet. We're being totally legal, but who knows what people.
Totally fair. Okay,
the other thing is, Mayor, were you thinking you might give a little state of the city update at each meeting? I think we had talked about that at our last
I'm
council.
delighted
meeting. Does
to.
that work for you? Okay.
Yeah.
So, just kind of a.
And just tell me
update from the mayor.
how long or short I can work with whatever time.
I'll just have you open like we did last time and kind of just give like a brief, 5 to 10 minute
Okay,
update of where we're at.
On that same note, for the Clear Creek River cleanup on that Monday the 19th, it was really nice. I think Randy did it last year, gave a talk and it made them feel important, all these
Oh.
river guys and stuff. So having the mayor or somebody of authority come and give a little speech and bless them to be safe for the year.
That's in May. It's on my list of things to
all
talk
right,
to you about.
I will bring my holy water.
Sadie, a couple questions. How long should we plan to present on skateboard?
About 30 minutes usually is about what we're given on those updates, because usually what ends up taking the most time is
Sure. Is it appropriate for the student interns to come and
I
help?
think so, absolutely.
And then what time?
They all start at 6. So the East End one is on the 10th at Yards, downtown one 17th, hopefully at TK.
30 minutes seems like a long presentation.
But no, 30 minutes including time for
That's like
questions.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry,
10
I'm
minutes
sorry.
and then time.
10 minutes
Yeah.
in time, sorry, 30 minutes total for you was kind of my goal. Most of that time, what I meant to say was for questions.
It's okay if it's less than that.
Yeah, you can just,
Exactly.
yeah,
That is more time to socialize.
Yeah.
yeah,
5-10 minute talk.
Yeah.
And
and then it's all the
Yeah.
questions is what ends up happening. Okay. Any other questions on my director's report thoughts? Okay, cool. All right, I want to move to the marketing plan. Does anybody have any concerns, questions, thoughts over it? The events listed on there, again, that's my just overall events list that I have right now. It's not like set in stone by meaning that we adopt this and then we can't add any more events. This is just what I know to be true as of right now for our events list. With some things still potentially changing. It's just kind of more of a guideline for us. Any questions on it, thoughts? Is everybody comfortable with us pulling back and waiting?
Absolutely.
we are, because probably this winter hasn't, what we were hoping, so it gives us time to build up the coffers for participating in the advertising program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if everybody's comfortable, I would request a motion, but it's on your agenda to how you, read it, so whoever wants, if we're comfortable, we'll move to that step.
Motion to approve the revised 2025 collaborative marketing plan, City of Idaho.
Perfect. Do I have a second? Steve, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
wonderful. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. Tara has a couple of updates for us. So, take the floor away, Tara.
Yeah, so we placed the order for the flowers for the city. So it's basically just a pre-order, so she's planting and growing everything for us, which is exciting. I did some edits, it's not super important to the board, but I did some changes on the varieties that I think will do really well.
As well as things that won't go brown
Yeah,
and
so I
look
got some
gross.
things that didn't do well last year, so it's kind of exciting, they're gonna look a little different. And we're still doing the same, where we do it in tandem with Garden Club, so it's on the 5th of June, and their sale is the 6th and the 7th. So everything will come in on the morning of the 5th, School will be out, but we will hopefully be able to collaborate with the rec. Caitlin brought the kids down last year and that was great. And we did definitely have volunteers last year, but happy to have more. And then last year and previous years,
What date is it, Terrence?
it's gonna be June 5th. It's a Thursday. I believe.
It is.
So in the past, we sold flowers to each business. So like, that's what people fill their beds with, like the bojos, all that is purchased separately than the city's flowers. And we would use that as a fundraiser for, chamber. And I was thinking of like, well, that has dissolved. We have this other money. Like, what are we charging them for in a way, right? And my thought was we didn't have any money set aside for a donation of any type when we were talking about that city of beautification project, for example, that Uchi proposed, which I know Sadie conducted that project with like a school or something.
There's a bunch, I
Yeah.
connected it with like a bunch of different people kind of doing the same thing, so that we're all kind of maybe doing, again, all together doing the same thing instead of. Yeah,
So that project's still being supported, even though we didn't really have the time or energy to take it on as we had decided, if you guys remember that from, I think, 2 or 3 meetings ago. My thought was, what about donating those proceeds to potentially the skate park or some other community thing or something for the rec, because the kids volunteered. But I just wanted to let you guys know that that was on my mind and that we can vote on that. And those are all the updates I have for floral. Oh, and then for businesses, we'll be, going around. Chris Laymaker volunteered to go to each business and tell people like what we have available. And I did an update on that order too, for some hanging baskets, because I feel like a lot of the retail on Minor, sometimes they will go out and buy their own hanging baskets. So I was like, we might as well have that as part of the offer.
so traditionally what we've done is charge like a flat rate, like $250 for businesses to access flowers. They get a significant amount of flowers for $250, but they don't obviously cost us $250. We're getting them at a pretty significant savings flowers wise, because we're purchasing them in such a large quantity and volume, with the garden club purchasing, the city purchasing, and the businesses having an opportunity to also buy in. So like Tara said, this could be an opportunity for this board to raise a little bit of money to be able to make a donation to a project that we don't have budgeted, or an extra something there. But that's kind of where we're at on that.
What's happening with the Courtney Riley Cooper Park playground budget?
We've done most of the design
Uh-huh.
on redoing the play park there. We just need to find funding.
Yeah,
for
that's my
some grant funding.
question. I mean, there's
Yeah.
probably 5 different projects. that
So
could-
we're almost shovel ready, which is always good when you're going after grants.
Right.
And really, I think we're probably gonna shoot for next year, put some city
I
funding
mean, could
towards
this
it.
be a good little matching opportunity for grants?
Yeah, there won't be a lot. We have 10, our goal and what I ordered for is for about 10 businesses. It'll be like $1,000.
Yeah, there's not gonna be a large amount of extra money after we cover the cost of the flowers, but it is a little bit extra. And again, something for us as a board to say we also donated to this. So Tara and I will work up some additional numbers, but if everybody's comfortable with us, with continuing with the business program with the intent of passing that profit off as a fundraising donation.
That's my update.
Oh, thank you, Tara. Okay,
Cool,
lots for you guys.
right on.
Right
Thank
to
you
you.
guys. Jen, if you wanna start, and then I'll chime in after that.
Yeah, I'm just doing a quick little update on where we are with sponsorships for Third Creek County. We're doing.
I'm so bad.
Okay. If you haven't heard from me already and you're a business owner, you will in round 2 or again in round 2. We're doing sponsorships just a little bit differently. This year, we still have the same tiers that we've always had for sponsorship levels. But we're doing more of a blanket sponsorship rather than an event or program specific sponsorship, unless business owners have a very, very specific thing that they do want to sponsor. We're just trying to get all of our sponsors in all of the places that we can have them, on our website, on social media, on our Slacker shirts for sure, on our banners that are displayed at all of our community events and our bigger events, also our youth sports games. So there are different levels of sponsorships that are available. If you haven't received an email, like I said, you will. I'm also gonna hand some of these packets out physically today and tomorrow for all business owners that I may not have been able to reach, or Caitlin, who has also been working on the project with me, Caitlin Morris, with Director of Childcare. So that is where we're at with that. Obviously, we're looking for business partners to continue to enhance our events, to offer scholarships to families and children, increase our planning and execution of our bigger events, and increase our programming throughout the county. So the biggest thing is if you want to be on this Slacker shirt, the back of the Slacker shirt, the sponsorship levels will look a little bit different. They'll be different in sizes as far as logos go, but the deadline to get onto this shirt is March 24th. And so I need everybody's logo that wants to sponsor something through CCMRD to be sort of solidified by March 24th. And that's our biggest deadline. But I can also shamelessly plug Slacker really quick, if that's okay with everyone. So we haven't voted the number in the top 20 half marathons in the country. Last year, we were voted #1 half marathon in Colorado. We're national. This is a QR code to vote. Please vote every day. Can't see where we're at anymore. As we get closer to the deadline of April 2nd, they take where we're at. We're somewhere between 6 and 7 the last time I checked, of 20. So that's pretty cool. And if you haven't seen our logo, this is the new logo for 2025, our 25th anniversary of Slacker, running with my Nomies. That's all Cameron's slogan. But we love it. And this is what the logo will look like. So if you were on this shirt, it will be black and red with this gnome as the logo. That's pretty much where we're at with sponsorships. If you have any specific questions, anyone wants to set up a meeting with me.
We have a meeting right after this, but I can take that.
Okay. Perfect.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, we can definitely talk about it. And if there's something outside of that you're looking at doing too, we're always open to ideas. One of the other things I just wanted to quickly mention, I didn't have a chance to print it off, but these are a water monster. This is what we're planning on using for our hydration systems at Slacker this year, if we get enough sponsors to do so. So basically, these will be there will be one at each water stop. You can wrap it with a Velcro wrap with your business information on it. It can be removed. You can do it for multiple events. You aren't just specific to Slacker. We can also use them at Rapid Grass for hydration. We're buying. That's the idea. No, the idea is to buy 12 of them. Is where we would like to start and have a little bit more sophistication in our hydration system, but also we're still trying to move towards a zero waste race. And so this leans to that. People can bring their own reusable cup. We're not stocking a bunch of cups, and this is just a much simpler, easier, green way, sustainable way to hold the race. Same with our shirts, they'll be recyclable again this year as we continue to try to move all towards zero waste at our events. Great. Sponsorship questions, anybody?
So there's tiers to the level of sponsorship, so
There are.
each level obviously has a different benefit.
It does, and
Okay.
they're all either in the email I sent or listed here, and you can feel free to pick one of these up, but I won't bombard everyone with one. Just for the race shirts, banners, all of that presence as at a level of 500 or above. So that's the minimum commitment, just in case anyone's thinking if they want to be on the Slacker shirt, it's there. That is the tier, the lower tier and up. But we do have Friends of Rec sponsorships that are below that also have benefits to them as well.
All right, Cam?
Cool, thank you. Also, thank you. I'm gonna walk you guys through a packet of information, so if you wouldn't mind here, I'm gonna keep one, but then take one and pass it along, please.
I took 2 to get 1 lost.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, and I think there's extra, so if anybody wants more than one, help yourself. Okay, so on the front page of this is an overview of the project in general. So this is the entire ball field renovation project, and it includes all the various amenities that will be encapsulated in that renovation. So the project is divided up into phases, and so we're approaching phase 1 right now. Actually, we are in phase 1 right now, so that includes relocating the stage. Mobilization efforts have already started with that. There'll be a parking lot, and then groundbreaking for the skate park has been scheduled for May. I was told yesterday that maybe they want to start in April, so that's crazy. Things speeding up, who knew? But so I realized that this is a pretty small little graphic, but I just wanted to kind of get in front of people what we're looking at in terms of the entire renovated project. Steve has given some really good guidance and recommendations that we create an expanded and bigger version of this that's like an 11 by 17 that is framed and then would be more of a long-term display in your various businesses. If that's something that any business would want, we would love to take you up on the opportunity of that. And I will just be hard at work making that happen as soon as we get out of this meeting. So this website or the QR code takes you to the CCMRD website that has updates and a lot of links to like the master plan document and a lot of the other materials that have been created along this 4-year journey, because it's been 4 years, which is crazy. Okay, so that's the first page. Then on the second page, this is to share more information about our brick fundraiser. So I brought a brick just as an example. So anybody who's wanting to have their name displayed at the ball field for perpetuity can purchase a brick. There's either 4x8, 8x8, or 12x12. They're at various different prices. And so this QR code takes you to that order page for the bricks. The brick sales, it's cool. It can be in perpetuity. We don't have to have a deadline on this. If people wanted to buy a brick 3 years down the road, we can pop out a blank one and replace it. Something that I think is going to become more and more important is delineating what aspects of the park people want their brick to go towards and maybe be located near. The very first person I heard back from after making a presentation to the Rotary was Amy Tomlinson, and she's like, I want to donate, but I want my brick by the pickleball courts. So those are things that, you know, there will be more information about that, but this will be a long-term fundraiser. Then to segue into our real big fundraiser and our hype event, I've got 2 pages here. The last 2 front and back are both about the gala. The front is just to save the date, and it's got a QR code for where you can purchase tickets. While I mentioned tickets, I just want to say that if you do purchase the 8x8 or the 12x12 brick, that will include tickets to the gala. So we're really trying to encourage people to be generous with their giving. And so this is, we love galas, I agree, and we love opportunities to dress up. So this is in partnership with Loveland Ski Area. During the day from noon to 4, we'll have a rail jam event at their terrain park. This is a really great opportunity for our high school interns to have some real life experience working side by side with the park crew. They'll be the judges, they'll be defining the different features of competitions. So that's just for fun. It's free registration. And just trying to get our community to come out. And then the after party is down at the Valley. So the Valley closes the weekend before for the season, and Loveland is allowing us to take over their lodge for the after party. And that's from 4:30 till 10 p.m. There will be live music. There will be a live auction, silent auction, raffle. I already said live music, a plated meal, drink tickets. Thank you, Tommy Knockers, Cabin Creek Brewery, Slaymaker Cellars for donating alcoholic beverages. I tried to kind of cover the initial questions that we've received so far on like, what is dress code? That's been a very big question. I personally love an excuse to dress up, and I want to dress up, but if somebody wants to show up in their snow bibs because they just heard about it at the rail jam, we will not turn them away. So mountain casual, if that's snow clothes or a dress, up to you. We want you to come. Please have a good time. Then I've got just some more of the links at the bottom. There's a link again to buying your tickets, and then there's a link to that project website that's on the CCMRD site. To kind of take a step back from walking everybody through our little handy packet, we have about a $200,000 funding gap between where we're currently sitting and the complete project cost. And so that's what we're trying to really drum up local support for. So thank you in advance for spreading the word. Thank you for hanging up things in your businesses. Thank you for telling me what you think your customers would respond to. If it's table tents or window clings or 11 by 17 framed photos, graphics, we want to help you, help us, help each other to have a new, updated, awesome amenity here in Idaho Springs. I think that covers all my cool notes. Does anybody have any questions? Cool. If you think of a question later, I think everybody knows how to track me down. If you don't, you need to crawl out of the rock. No, just kidding.
Are you guys gonna wanna do, fundraising events on Minor again this year, or you're not sure yet, so?
I don't know why we wouldn't. Those have been so good, for like a host of different reasons. Not so much for fundraising, but more just like telling our story and connecting with people. So, and the students, that's something that like, they know how to do, and it's really fun for them to do. So I want to keep that option open if we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can promote those.
Yeah.
For the gala, when do you know what the food is? 'Cause sometimes.
We know right now, so we're working with Food and Bev. I had like high hopes that we're gonna get this awesome, super fancy catered thing. It's gonna be so much more cost effective for us to work with the Loveland catering team. Now that they started doing weddings, they have a wider variety. So we came up with a plated option of like a chicken tortellini salad. I think there's another side, a dessert, and then we'll have appetizers too.
Sometimes posting that stuff motivates people.
Yeah.
And then how about any kind of like auction or?
So yes, but we are also mobilizing the troops to gather up those donation items. Very happy to see you here. So if any.
Feel like a target.
Well, you are.
No pressure.
Well-loved target. So Loveland has already committed a season pass and some floor packs and a set of skis and some snowboards, but we need more donations. And so if that's a way that any of your businesses can help support, if you don't necessarily want to make a financial contribution, gift cards, anything that you might want to contribute to the effort, we will happily accept. And then promote. So, great question. Great.
The Historical Society will be having a gala in May.
Okay.
And I just mentioned that because I know they'll be looking for donations as well. And I know there could be competition, but I think there also could be an opportunity to maybe work together. And if you're approaching a business, say, hey, there are two important fundraisers coming up this spring in our community, and maybe try to promote each event and not necessarily detract from each one of you.
Yeah.
So I just mentioned, and maybe there'll be a little bit different audience, perhaps, for
There's quite a bit of crossover.
yeah, but I think there'll be some crossover, like
And it's
what's coming to
worth
my
the
mind, like
conversation.
Loveland's, ski tickets, a 4-pack or something.
Yeah.
Say, hey, while we're at it, can we maybe get 2 of those and
Yeah.
and one for, each of these, important efforts.
Try to tag
That's
team.
May 16th.
May 16th.
May 16th.
Yeah, and the Historical Society's annual meeting is March 20th, at 5:30. They are requesting someone from this board to attend that if possible. I will be out of town, unfortunately.
I'm already planning on being there.
Wonderful.
So.
Yay. It's catering and refreshments.
I know.
Delicious.
It's a fun event.
Yeah, so at that annual meeting, Cam, might be a good time if you can make that too. That might be a good way to connect with their whole group. Just be like, hey, I know we both have big spring fundraisers.
Is that a public meeting?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, open to everyone. Starts at 5:30 at the visitor center,
And that's March 20th.
March 20th. Yeah.
Short business meeting, mostly social. And food.
Yeah, an update on
I know,
what they're doing.
business meetings scare people away, ain't no business.
Yeah.
Cool, you guys are going.
Yeah, darn.
Again, you guys, everybody can go, because it's, gather, we won't be talking business of the board here.
Okay, Well, per requests from, well, unless there's any other questions for the rec, any questions?
There's one other thing I wanted to just speak to. It's totally disjointed from everything I've already said, but we are continuing the process of getting these pedicabs converted to e-bikes.
Yep.
And that is in partnership with Interstate Parking. Part of the reason why I was asking about how that contract is gonna work out. And so they have thus far like funded all of the retrofitting and the labor, and they've offered to host the platform for people to pay for rides. I don't assume that they're the only company that can do that, but I do think it's important to just kind of link that together as we're exploring parking.
And they are committed and ready to help that launch this summer, so that on Minor this summer, the pedicabs will be back as a part of our commitment to continuing to figure out some fun people moving opportunities.
One thing too is I think that, I mean, this is just like piggybacking on that, and I almost said it earlier, but like pushing bike parking, and I've always thought about like getting a grant or something for some cooler bike racks or whatever, but I think for locals, like in tandem, pushing that would be.
Colba is really
smart.
working on that locally, and that maybe they should come to they have been coming to some of the meetings.
Oh, yeah. Gary said he couldn't come today. He
So
was
they've
double
actually
booked.
got some creative ideas going with Chip Bear and his building, Robert Brothers Garage, and some other things that are in the works.
Well, and Park Idaho Springs, once the V Camp is turned back on, they will turn that on to be bike focused. So same thing, if you guys have time where you're like, do not park cars down here, tell me that so I can turn it off. But it will be encouraging places of where they can find additional bike parking for their bicycles, and or where they as park attendees should be parking as well. So we have those two things active on the Park Idaho Springs app and website right now, which are very helpful and pretty well utilized, so. And hopefully we'll continue to see increase in bikes throughout the district. Would be good, okay. So per suggestion from some business owners, something that we all felt was kind of important to return to from these meetings is a roundtable update from businesses. As we're kind of seeing these things where we're seeing slow sales tax growth and yet still seeing traffic on I-70 decreasing, being able to kind of, from a high level, be able to share kind of where we're at from our business standpoint. Definitely gives us kind of a good temperature of what's going on, helps staff and council understand, and I can report back to them, hey, no, this is what we're seeing from our businesses. Let's make sure we're clear what we're hearing. So I'm gonna let Steve start.
Just bring it up. Week over week, we are par with last year, but our revenue is down.
Yeah.
And then I can tell you this weekend, which I don't have on here, and today we had a full house when I left for lunch. So,
And you had a killer 30th party,
yeah.
30th birthday
It
party.
was good.
Yes.
So, yeah, our numbers are pretty consistent to last year, but we're just the margins are thin.
I'm in the same boat, Spice and Tea year over year, we're about par, but my margins my costs are significantly higher than any other year, so I'm continuing to see loss because cost is continuing to increase, but visitor count is the same.
What's driving
All right.
cost?
What's driving costs? Man,
The cost of tea and.
cost
spices.
I mean, shipping honestly is one of my biggest cost increases that I see is the cost of shipping, is getting things here. Shipping costs have been significantly climbing. I've not seen my shipping costs once go in the lower direction. Also, cost of goods in general, consumable cost of goods from the sense of I'm pre-restaurant, like garlic, for example, has
Katie, I think you hit mute on your computer.
Yeah, I think we've lost sound online here.
Which will only benefit everyone, I think. It's been a rough push to get my partners to agree to that. But it's gonna be good. I think that's basic, and also for Majestic,
Katie, back on.
Sadie and I are happy.
Oh, now you're off again.
And finally, the building is filling up
Yeah.
as it should with really great tenants, and it's getting a lot more community use.
Cool. How's the rec doing?
So we're open on Sundays now, which is
Nice.
pretty awesome. And also real risky, because the cost of cleaning and staffing will likely come at a loss to be open on Sundays. So we set a goal of trying to match our Saturday turnout, which is 120 people on a typical Saturday. Just for reference, a typical Monday is 250 people. And so it's way slower on weekends, which we knew, and which is why we haven't been open on Sundays. So we're trying to put some onus back on the public to ask that they show up on Sundays. And so we asked for a goal of 120 people to meet that same Saturday number. The first weekend, we had 151, and then it immediately tapered down to 127, and then 121, and then we put out some other promotions in this last weekend of 140. So it hasn't been the totally decline, so hopefully we can kind of level out and keep it going. So that's not a direct answer to your question, but that's kind of our biggest impact right now in terms of business operations.
Awesome. Awesome.
Cameron, is that typical for recreation centers, that pattern, where busier during the week?
That's
and
a
not as
good
busy in the
question.
week? I'm just
I
curious.
don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Monday's the busiest for us and it kind of
Oh,
slows
mhm.
down over the week. I think
Everybody has
people
good
wanna
intentions
start-
starting the
yeah.
week off, and then it's.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, I'm tired.
January.
Yeah, well, and January is always a real big time of year. But I would be good to reach out to Evergreen and Gilpin and sort of see what they see.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Jeannie? Business update. How's the hotel doing down there?
Not bad, better than last year.
Okay. Yeah, awesome.
Are you with the uplift?
6 and 40.
6 and 40, okay.
Sorry, I was late. I own property on the east end. Started planning for a hotel. The Chinese last year. Did have a meeting with them. Quite a couple of months ago. So we trying to finalize the plans according to what the requirements were. So still, I have rented the property for the rafting people
Mm-hmm.
for 4 months. So I'm hoping starting this fall, get started. Renovation.
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right next to the Chinese restaurant where the rafting offices and that storage kind of unit area is. Very cool. Awesome. Well, welcome. Nice to meet you. Tara?
So February was up from last year and March was like not so hot yet.
The spring breakers are here though. I have seen them. They have arrived.
Yeah, but March is definitely not from last year, but last month was good. And I booked a lot of weddings last month too. So like the store was up and then I'm not sure in terms of weddings, but it was a lot of bookings. So like that's not combined.
Yeah. How's your summer wedding season shaping?
I haven't met all my goals yet, but we're doing well. I think I've heard in the industry, people are spending less and they're booking later. So, yeah, we're getting close to our goal, but we're fine. We'll be good.
Lana, how's club doing?
I mean, we're still so new that, we're like 50% over last year, but that, I mean, I don't know what that means. Does that make, yeah, so we're expecting to basically double what we did last year, but again, we're still in that like really strong building growth phase. We're getting people to know who we are and what we're doing and that, we exist. And so I don't know if we're great on like the business climate type of model. So.
Have you guys started to see summer bookings tick up?
Yes. Well, I mean, we were really busy last summer and we already have quite a few bookings and we actually have a few like wedding parties staying with us. We have a couple of kind of micro weddings that we're hosting and so, which we didn't do any of that last summer. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Does anyone online want to share your update?
I can go ahead and share. Smoke and Yards is doing good. We're also looking at raising our prices right now, just because the cost of goods are going up. We typically go up in prices at the beginning of every year. This year we're just a little bit behind the ball on that, but the tap house is doing better as well. Marginally though, we're seeing less customers, and I think because we raise our prices every year, it looks like we're breaking even as far as sales go from last year. But I think the amount of people coming through town is less. So, but other than that, business is good.
This is Lindsay. Yeah, I already kind of mentioned where the deli's at. We did slightly better in January over last year, down a bit in February, and hopefully we're a little bit low for March. However, I think with spring break, that should change. Hopefully we have a great couple of weeks with spring breakers up here. But yeah, there's only so much we can do with raising our prices before people just don't want to buy a sandwich anymore. And so we're really looking at that carefully, but definitely cost of goods has gone up. I haven't looked at our customer count, so I will take a look at those numbers to kind of get an idea. I am curious to see how that correlates with the numbers that you've talked about with I-70 and seeing a decrease there.
You brought in front of us, Andy?
You know what I think might be another good thing for us to do at these meetings, this is a great schedule, would it be possible to maybe just get a little more of an update on several of these events that are coming up in the next couple of months, for instance, the cleanup? I was curious what time the extravaganza will be, what the time is of that. So maybe just maybe as part of the roundtable, maybe just a little update, if there are some updates on a few of these events. We've got the borough race coming up, Memorial Weekend, so would that work?
Yeah, I was hoping to have that, but because we had to push back on the events committee meeting, I
Okay,
just
that's
was
fine.
like, I don't know where I'm at on any of these yet. But yes, I love that, like an events update. Okay.
And I'm thinking there might be just a little bit of an update on some of these items before we break.
Yeah,
Like the
absolutely.
Cleanup maybe.
Yeah, we are well into planning on the Clear Creek County cleanup. Steve is heading the charge from the Rotary Department. So we will have the county-wide cleanup on May 17th. And then the river cleanup will be the following Monday on the 19th. We're working on some really good initiatives within Idaho Springs to make sure everybody knows about it. What are the rules? What are we accepting? What are we not accepting? How to make sure that's all clear. We met with the large group, that's the whole county planning the event, because it is a Clear Creek County cleanup day, or Clear Creek County Day of Service, something like that. So Georgetown will be doing the cleanup on the same day. It is also Canine on the Creek. So we were hoping, similar to last year, I was hoping to maybe give you guys something to say, hey, maybe even having trash bags at your registration table. And if they're walking and they pick up trash while they're walking, they can take that trash bag and bring it to, we have our official orange trash bags. So if they bring those trash bags back to the station, they get a coupon. So that might be something that would at least encourage them to participate and maybe pick up trash along the route or whatever we want to do there. But with Canine on Creek being at the same day, we did see a little bit of an uptick, but Idaho Springs specifically doesn't have a large volunteer base to be volunteering. So we have gotten word that Comba will put out some effort to have Comba's people volunteer. But we definitely, this is a design to clean up our community, not clean out your house necessarily. So we are trying to encourage people to volunteer to clean up areas within our community that are highly impacted.
We also have other partners like Mount Youth Network's on board.
Yep.
High school's on board.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So there is some other partners coming on, and, yeah, the
You say
Kumbas.
Rotary?
Rotary's
Yeah, Rotary is-
leading the charge, yeah.
We just have some volunteers going on, and what else?
Well, I just wanted to mention that Doyle has really supported us very well. To put a fine point on it, these are like $660 dumpsters that they're making available to us for $150 a piece. It's like a huge discount.
It's the gas to go drop it off in Denver. and back.
Exactly, and then frankly, we're kind of pains because we're asking for it to be delivered in the morning and then be picked up before it gets too late in the afternoon, so it doesn't attract unwanted items like mattresses and tube TVs, overnight. And I mean, they're just good as gold to work with us on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the transfer station wants to partner up on it, the new operator there, I mentioned to him, and I thought, I sent you know,
Yep.
but they have these totes that they cut the tops off of, and there's stuff full of TVs, and people always are bringing TVs, and electronics, so
Yeah.
maybe they can bring those, but I think we get to collect money from them, like say, you can put your TV in that bin for $20, and then give that money to the transfer station.
Yeah, so they are at least willing to participate this year. It's the first year that they've really been super open to participation. So that'll be good, besides letting them know that it's happening.
Is this what the rafting companies also?
That will be the following Monday.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so Saturday is the Clear Creek County cleanup, and then that following Monday, we do river cleanup and kick off raft season. I will be putting out a big ask and push to the businesses and especially to the rec. If you guys want to put something in a gift bag that we're gonna be giving out to all the rafters, this is your time, because it gets in front of them that says, hey, if you want a raft season pass to the rec, this is how much it costs. Those kind of things, or hey, make sure you tell people about my this or that.
Or just participate in the event.
Yeah.
In a way that promotes your operation, it's not just a one business event, it's a
No.
community event.
It is a community event. We do host it down at Tommy Knockers. But it's a great way to get in front of pretty much one of the largest ambassador groups of our summer. These raft guides talk to almost more visitors than we do throughout a season, and they are some of our best referral networks. So getting in front of them is a really great way to talk about who you are, what you are, and what you could offer the people that are visiting. And they're great at recommending places. So that's a great place to get in front of that. So I'll be asking about participation for that party coming up soon.
One thing I might mention about the rafting season, we just had a pre-season rafting meeting. That's where the county organizes a meeting with all the rafting outfits to just kind of give updates, have some sharing. And it's gonna be particularly challenging. I know it is for the businesses in the community, all the other businesses, but it is for the rafting companies too, because they're having to do holds on the river when they're blasting. So there's a lot of coordination going on there. Blasting will continue into next year. We got an update on that, so it is extending longer than I thought I heard early on. So that means basically holding up the rafts, and the blasts are typically pretty short, but it's just something that's going to require coordination. And it'll be down near Cliff Creek Rafting down by the Oxbow there, where you have the game check station parking lot. That's generally where they'll do the holds, do the blast, which is just on the east side of the tunnel, and then they'll be able to get through. So they're a little anxious about that. But I will say on a very positive note that last year, I think we had probably the best year we had with operations, at least from the city's perspective, with rafting along the creek. I mean, the rafting staging was on the west side of 23rd there. Sometimes I saw two orientations going at the same time, like 24 rafts, and they respected the park. And it's a little challenging over on Highway 103 because it's such a narrow spot to pull off buses. I worry about people stepping out into the traffic there and that sort of thing. But and we shared that with the rafting companies that last year was probably one of the best years that we just didn't get hardly any complaints from the community or from residents, and that's often where it comes from. It's like, oh, they're taking over the park, and so that really didn't happen. So I want to celebrate that. It was a good year last year. So operationally, so
Is this idea to put a hot dog stand at the game park?
I was thinking lemonade stand.
Yes.
Maybe you sit there for 20
Yeah,
minutes.
sitting there for 20 minutes is
So we tell
something.
them, don't take your cash unless you want soggy money, it still stands the same. though.
Yeah,
Take care of you.
we'll take your Venmo. But also a note is that I think Mayor, that Steve mentioned, I think it's a good opportunity from a city leadership perspective to also have a presence at the raft kickoff meeting. It does make a difference that they feel welcomed and a happy part of our community. It does help them treat us better if we start off the season by treating them very nicely and telling them how grateful we are to have them here. It has really changed their attitude. That's been part of Steve's perspective, is instead of just complaining about their bad attitude and how they treat us, maybe we start off by telling them how grateful we are to have them and helping them understand to be good residents while they're here, and how much we appreciate that.
Last year we gave him soap on the rope.
We did do that.
Hilarious.
We literally did give them.
what does that mean?
We really appreciate if you don't smell so darn bad. It would be really great. No.
One of the things I think was very positive was having the end of season debrief.
Yep.
Because that way, okay, what went well, what didn't go so well, and we just, I think it was late August.
It was
we had
late
that
August,
meeting. So
yeah.
we're gonna continue that as well.
Yeah, that helped a lot.
And we also started some conversation about maybe some future improvements along the river, put-ins and takeouts, like at Highway 103. With our grant, we didn't get funded for it, but we did submit a Reconnecting Communities federal grant to put the Ped Bridge in, and then also do some improvements on 103. And part of those improvements on 103 was make it more pedestrian friendly, and it included looking at a better put-in and takeout there at 103. So we're going to keep after that, but I think they're willing. It sounds like the rafting community is willing to put some resources towards some of those improvements, and I think we can probably do some of that as well. So.
Awesome. Any other? Yeah, Jen.
Oh, I was just gonna let you know, Andy, that the extravaganza is April 19th from 1 to 4.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Come join.
Any update on the borough race? It's a little ways out, but someone.
Go to the range.
We had a meeting and everything seems to be on pace. The only changes are we're looking at going back to what we did in the early days, where the procession goes down Main Street, Minor Street, and then stops at City Park and the race starts there. It takes a left rather than starting on the street right here, 17th. Just to kind of bring back the spectator aspect of it, and it is getting very popular. And there's more spectator room there at the park in that area, and they can go down the whole block rather than being stuck between cars on 17th. And then as far as stuff that doesn't really matter, but the course coming down the bike trails, we're working on a solution to make that a win-win.
All sorts of fun things there. I'll have a more substantial event update at our next meeting, which is April 21st at 2 p.m. I will also put out an update, pre that meeting on Minor Street activation, because obviously activation permits will be due sooner rather than later. So after next Monday, I'll be putting out an update for everybody and making sure we're all aware of what Minor Street activation will look like for this year. All right. Well, if there are no other questions or anything, I will adjourn us at 3:41.
Thank you.
So, and there will definitely say that there is a fraud.